to switch here and go. All right, let's get started. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. A little bit busy, a lot of stuff to do, but we've got an exciting tournament to commentate after this, so it's cool that we get asked for that kind of projects. We've got some boss rushing going on. So you are pretty new by the looks of it.
So I've been on and off, but I wouldn't say I'm new. I'm trying to start a new character, like for Hyperburn, and I want to just, you know, prep as much as I can beforehand, and kind of I want to be able to, you know, try to hit 250, you know, as soon as possible, and then go into push for 260. I have another, like, previously played like before Destiny, and maybe quit maybe like April. I have like a 255 Kana, and I like it was like a fat 10-15 during that time, and then I farmed 40 bill. I only got one item to 21, and then I quit. And then I'm back now.
Okay.
So
a little bit of a rough patch there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're trying to stack as many resources as possible. You got like the old Kana farmer.
Yeah. I'm maxing out all my totems. I have I bought 8 left for like last month, and I'm gonna be using up all of them. I think I'm gonna run to a point where I have no more totems, or no more EXP coupons, and no more Legion coins for Legion wealth. But
so when you say last month, you mean the month before now that you still have?
Oh, sorry. I meant the month of
September. Yeah. So today last day.
Yeah.
But then you're going. So you're going to try to use them before the end of October, because hyper burning is not going to be until November, right?
Yeah. So I've been doing like a totem a day so far. Started like last week.
Okay.
So I'll definitely be using them up before November, and the 17 I get in the month of October, like the 15 from cash up and 2 free.
And you're not planning but this is the character that you want to hyperburn and get to 250, right?
Yeah, the ice lightning, yeah, because Kana, the net damage nerf that went on was just it's just not good. So I want to start a new one since hyperburn came out.
And was that your actual main, or was it just your strongest character because it just, you know, because it maybe started as a farmer, but you kind of get the levels easily and you get into the bosses easily, so it kind of became your main by default?
Yeah, so I've been on and off like in the last like 4 years, and basically at one point I made the Kana farmer originally just for a Kana farmer, and then the last time I played, I wanted to main it because it was just, I didn't want to do 2 sets of arcane dealers and everything.
Yeah.
So, and then I got it up to 250. I actually got 255 just yesterday, but I was basically farming on it, and it was my main. And then I quit, and then coming back, I would have continued it, but the damage got nerfed so hard, so I just wanted to like start something new.
Okay.
And kind of, I kind of, it's just kind of just like a weekly boss raid, just my farmer now. And yeah, I'm very interested in like maining Ice Lightning, just because, like for me, the type of, like what I enjoy is kind of, like when I'm farming, I want like good rates and like kind of like a chill, like I guess grinding for like, because I'm gonna be doing like, you know, maxing out the totems every month. So I want like a farmer that has decent rates or pretty good rates, and like I'm thinking about, you know, like Limina and everything, and I feel like Ice Lightning, watching all like the different videos, I like the way that they mob, and we have like free Lucid Soul basically. So
yeah, and then you have the ability to add the Lucid Soul, and then in Ignition we get another kind of summon like that, right? With the Urda Shower. So you'll have, if you get a Lucid Soul, then you'll actually have 3 of those around the map, which will mean even in larger maps you might get a lot of coverage going. So just to clarify, when you're saying farming, you essentially just mean grinding and training, right?
Yeah. It's like for hyperburning, I'm like for this character, I kind of just want to focus on getting 260 like ASAP.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll be basically farm story until 260, and then I won't really care too much about, I guess, the damage I have for bosses until after 260.
Okay, sure, yeah. And then, so the one thing that will probably happen then, though, is that you'll be behind, I mean, level-wise, you'll be kind of behind on Arcane Power, right? Because you won't just have had enough days to do your dailies. So you'll be overcompensating with maybe familiars, but most likely with boost nodes and, you know, with strength in the equips to make sure that you don't have to, that the fact that the Arcane Power is lower, that doesn't hold you back from still killing the monsters around your level.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, like.
No, go
on. So like basically, like I guess what I want to aim for is, you know, I want to be able to, like form parties for like, you know, C10 bosses and eventually, you know, Black Mage Liberation and everything, and then, you know, all that stuff. But the furthest I've ever progressed was just last time I played, which was Mycona, and I got it up to like 33k stat, where everything was, I had full set 17-star arcanes, and everything was basically like, you know, 21% at least, some 30s and decent flames, and then I kind of hit like a, to me that's like kind of like plateau where it's like the amount of effort to upgrade everything is like so much time and effort.
Yep.
But now here, like I'm trying to get, I guess for hyperburning, I'm trying to basically, for hyperburning, when hyperburning hits, I want to be able to immediately get to the 17-star 21% point, or almost to that point.
Okay. Yeah, there's some
ideally
stuff. There's some items, and then specifically CRA, but of course if you're trying to rush that and like prep and rush that, and it's probably also why you're holding on to so much Pencilier, right? Is because you're planning to just like tap all the Pencilier up and immediately get high Starforce CRA up there. The thing with, you know, you've got the clear, so you know you can do the 5 clears of Rudibus, so that's all available, of course. But you'll most likely already have CRA pieces by then, right? Because if you're starting now and it's only starting on November 16th, if you're getting carries, you can already get quite a bunch of backup items and emblems for CRA, so you won't really need to do the whole transferring thing with like hats or with armors, right?
Yeah, like ideally I wish my isolating would have been 235 right now, and so I could do weekly.
Yeah. Get all, and then all the symbols, right?
Yeah, because I have a friend that can carry me every week, or like up to Hard Lucid and everything, or Hard Lucid and Will. But right now the issue for like I would train my isolating to 235, but because it's so weak, and because I don't want to tap off events, like, I'm kind of just stuck, and that's why I just kind of just stuck at 203. I'm trying to do as much, like I do like, you know, the Monster Park dailies, Mercy, Helix, Arc, and all the other weekly bosses that I can do, but I'm kind of like stuck. And,
yeah, you're in the situation where you don't want to over invest into any single thing, because you know you're going to be able to be like a knight in chess, right? And make like these huge jumps when you finally do get to to be free. So you're like staying way weaker than you would be at this level, so that then in like 10 levels you can be like way stronger than you usually would be at that level, right?
Yeah.
Like compensating for it.
And hopefully, like I guess it depends on when like the next 5, 10, 15 happens. And I know Night Troop is coming out with the no boom.
Yep.
But like, if like, I guess one of the questions is like, because I know what I want to do in terms of you know, how to, I have a kind of like a line up of, you know, all the equips I need and everything. But in terms of, I'm trying to be most efficient with my money, and I already have 50, like, so obviously the end game is for sure arcanes, but I think I'm gonna have to need to go into APSO beforehand, just because like I don't think I can, I'm not sure if I can, but I'm not sure if I'm able to, like, you know, start one-shotting from 200 to 235, and even
with the
time to get the arcanes as well.
With the lower arcane power, it makes way too much sense to go for Abzo, because it's a little bit of a sidetrack thing, but it's a really easy way of getting a lot of damage, especially since, I mean, if you have a friend who's able to carry Hard Lucid, Hard Will, then they can carry regular Lotus and like Hard Lotus and Daemon as well, right?
Yeah.
So getting full Abzo should be no problem whatsoever before that time, and it's a lot of free damage just to get like 17 Abzo. You might even get backup Abzos by that time. I might even be able to like tap without safeguarding on the Abzos, and that way save a lot of money as well. If you can be in that luxurious of a position. I would definitely do that, yeah, because like on my boss mules now, I'm just doing like CRA gear up to 17 and like Tyrant gear, and then being just like okay with the Tyrant cape, and then eventually killing enough H-mags and getting the Tyrant shoes. But I got like a random Abzo shoe from a run somewhere, and even just having it at 16 star with an okay flame without any potential, it was already like almost beating the Tyrant shoe that was already done. So it does make more sense to go for the Abzo there, because you're not going to get 5-star or 10-star Tyrants, right? We're not going into that area, I don't think so. And even once you get to the point where you would do that with a shoe, by that time you could have gotten like the Abzo shoe 3 times over. So it doesn't even make sense to do that. So I would definitely go into Abzo. Yeah, it's too much free damage that will help you clear for mobbing. And in the grand scheme of things, it's a very small price to pay to be able to fill that gap that is left by the arcane power that's not going to be able to catch up. I mean, I imagine by that time you're probably going to be in the 220s, like close to 230 at least, right? So you'll have a bunch of areas that you're building up symbols on already.
Yeah. Like depending on when, if like let's say 5, 10, 15 comes out before Hyperburn, I will probably just tap, because I already have, I have all Abso ready. And I have, the Sweetwater Tachi ready. I'm gonna be getting, I already have a Pink Bean mark just temporarily as well, and I guess eventually those will be turned into drop gear. And like because I'm already aiming, to get into Serenium. I heard, I know that when you get into Serenium in the very, very beginning, like all the drop gear, if it's hard to one shot, right, with your drop gear, especially.
It's impossible.
Should I?
You have no sacred, and you're trying to wear drop gear, and your arcane symbols are not even going to be maxed yet, and you have no sacred. There's no shot. You're going to be killing very quickly there. Even in full damage gear, people will struggle with when they have like a 7 or 8k legion like covering their character. So that's going to be pretty much impossible to really immediately at 260 go there. At the earliest, people go like around 265 once they build up some sacred. But most people stay in Limina until 270, honestly. But that's also connected to needing more familiars. So if you get lucky with your familiar rolls, you might be able to get out of Limina a little bit earlier. But otherwise, there's no shame in staying there a little bit longer just to make sure that your familiars are, Tenebris and Black Mage proof if that's your goal in your character.
Yeah.
Unless you have another character, like your Kana that can basically supplement, right? Once the Kana is 255, so the Kana could also make familiars in the future once you're like, kind of like slowing down on the Ice Lightning, and then you can funnel familiars that way back into your Ice Lightning.
Yeah. Like, do you know, like, or I guess there's rumors. I know that there's rumors that there's gonna be like a cube sale, Black Friday and everything, and
yeah, historically it's pretty common. So for typically we have DMTs around March, July, December, and then what has been happening is that the DMTs then stopped for a while, right? And then they started coming back once they kind of fixed the way that DMTs were run, so that they wouldn't be too many people at once and crashing the whole game. So now you have to like sign up for a day and for a time slot, and then you can just do it during that time, and that's been working fine. But what they've been doing is they have not overlapped the cube sale anymore with the DMT, but instead they had the cube sale roughly like a month before the DMT. So DMT is usually going to be like around Christmas. So like a month before is like around Black Friday, basically. So that's kind of when we're expecting it, yeah. But I mean, yeah, that's about 2 months away from now still, yeah.
And so yeah, like right now, the other question is for like accessories for drop gear, because usually before, the regulars like Zakum, Face, and I would be good enough to drop, but because I'm trying to plan ahead, would it make sense for me to farm more Commercy to actually start off with Sweetwater's accessories as drop gear? since I plan to get into Cernium and
yeah, I mean the main reason you would go for those pieces is because if the whole set of boss accessory kind of falls apart. What's good at boss accessory is because of the set bonus and because of the flame advantage, it can overcome the lack of Starforce, right? But if you're willing to pay the money for the Starforce and the pieces that you find together just only have like maybe like a 3 set bonus for boss accessory at the most, like a 3 or a 4, you know, you don't even get to the 5 or the 7, then it's fine to just push a bit further. You're going to be spending a lot, quote unquote, there on the drop in meso gear, where the boost nodes, the WSE, and your arcane power are gonna have to take care of most of that damage. And remember, if you do want to go into Cernium, you typically don't wear drop gear. If anything, you would try to wear meso gear, but essentially you only do that if you have more than enough damage, like right outside of the damage gear, to be able to wear to be able to kill still. And even then, you're trying to get all of your 5 meso lines on 3 or ideally on 2, but like on 3 pieces, so you have 2 double lines and 1 with extra damage, so that you can lose the minimal amount of stat when you're trying to kill there. Otherwise, it just makes it that much harder even to kill properly in that new area. So if you're making the drop rate gear specifically with drop rate on it, the damage on that is not going to matter as much, because where it would matter is if you're trying to do weekly bosses with like hybrid drop and damage gear, which like a Sweetwater Tattoo, for example, would be nice for. But if you're getting carried at most of the stuff that will be the most challenging, you're not going to be relying on yourself for that damage as much, right? So you will be able to just cut that corner a little bit and just stay with the Zakum accessories, and that'll be good enough. Maybe like, you know, Zakum face and then like a Black Bean mark, for example. If you get a few more before then, that'll be fine, because then, you know, that'll keep your options open, that if you want to get that extra Starforce, you can, but you don't have to. And it'll also take some pressure off of the narrows, that you can more quickly go towards transposing a pendant, for example, without needing to buy a whole bunch of monocles.
Oh, I see. Yeah, makes sense. So if the question is for upgrading. So I have all of my like Concealer and a bunch of other stuff 15 star ready for either 510 to come out. And if I don't plan to actually, you know, train on this character until Hyperburn, so mid-November, if let's say in the next patch notes in the Sunny Sunday 5, 10, 15 is gonna happen, and I guess that takes place after Night Troop, like in terms of getting Absos to 15 with transferring, is it cheaper on the no boom, or is it cheaper on the 510?
I'll have to check with the calculator a little bit. One thing I will say though is I think it'll be a good idea to either get to 210 or 215, because that's relatively going to be only a low amount of effort, but it'll give you access to a lot, like to basically doubling the amount of symbols you can get per day, because you'll be able to level Choo Choo as well. And because once you're going to be leveling so fast that your symbols are going to fall behind, it'll be a good idea to have like an extra month of like leveling Choo Choo. You know, that'll give you like, what is it, like 700 symbols or something, right? So that will give you a more solid foundation with a bunch of extra levels, so you don't hit that wall as hard. And then that way you don't have to overcompensate with extra stats and with specific set bonuses as much on other things to be able to keep up your kill speed. So I probably would advise to get to 210 or 215 at least. That should be relatively close to 200 and pretty doable, right? I've heard some, you know, people who are like fully set up couldn't do it really fast. Of course, yeah, you're, you know, cutting a lot of corners, so you won't be able to kill as quickly, but I would advise that. So the Starforce calculator. So so your question was using either the no boom room, starting from 15 star Pencilier to get into 17 Abso, versus waiting for 5, 10, 15?
Yeah.
Well, if it's already 15, and so the factor would be there. Are you planning to have like multiple backups for Abso?
Oh, I don't really have that many backups for Abso. I definitely have enough for the one. And usually like I have only done it on 5, 10, 15 and 5, 10, 15. Like you I will always safeguard from when it's on the Abso from 16 to
17. Yeah. And do you have any? I mean, by that time you can get some, but you'll need some Ranmaru stuff as well, right? To jump in between the 150 slot, in between the 140 and the 160, right?
Do you say Ranmaru?
Yeah. So like the Ranmaru drops the 150 stuff is typically that's a cool equip, so you can transfer from 140 to 150 and then 150 to 160, right? Because you can jump straight from Penciler into 160.
Yeah. So for the So for Ranmaru, I have been doing Ranmaru. I think for the shoulder, I think I'm just gonna Starforce straight on it.
Okay.
But I think for the gloves, I definitely will have the Magus one, I think, as well as the shoes.
The root shoes.
And then for the cape, I'll have the Zakum cape. Zakum cape. And then the weapon will just be the Fafnir.
Because I don't even know how no boom would. I mean, if you would safeguard at 15 at 16 and you're already at 15, then no boom essentially doesn't do anything, right? You just have to safeguard to 16, transfer, safeguard to 16 again and transfer, and then safeguard 16, 17. So that would be, or are you planning to not safeguard that at all until you get into the Abso and then safeguard 16 and 17 on the Abso? Is that the plan? Because I don't see how that can be like in cost even remotely similar to a 5, 10, 15. Because 15 to 16 for free is just so much money saved.
Yeah.
So like if it was
on a no boom, I'd have to. Oh wait.
So it'd be something like this, like no star catch, no safeguard, 114, 15 to 16 on 140, right?
All right. Yeah.
Because then the problem that you get is that it's the chance of boom is very low, but then if it happens, it becomes a lot more expensive. So you get an incredibly wide range. Like range of cost is like the lowest cost is like 32 mil, and then the highest is 1.7 bill. It goes like all over the place. But in general, it'll be very low cost. And then at 150, repeat.
No boom sucks then.
Yeah, no boom is really good if you have like arcane stuff. If you've got like Meister rings maybe that you can craft before that time, or if you get kind of treasure rings before that time. If you want to get your Dominators Starforced up, or like black bead marks, like for those equips it's perfect because you can just send it and you don't have to worry about safeguarding. There you save like anywhere from like 300 to 500 mil per item just for not having to safeguard. That's the real value of it. So I don't know if in your account do you have like value for like Meister rings or something? You could maybe try to work on that. Oh, you got 2 primals?
I have, I can make 2 right now. Obviously I need to get to Meister, but that's not that big of an issue.
No, that's not big of a deal. Hopefully you get at least 1 more. Because making 2 Meisters, like it's a little bit, can be a little bit scuffed because if then one doesn't go, then you're already like on your last one. It's like, ooh. And all that effort.
Yeah, I've been doing arc on 3 characters.
Yeah, that's it's the best you could do. Get as much drop rate as you can, as many clears as you can. Because those flowers, in the beginning the flowers will do more than the arcs, but you can scale up on the arcs very quickly, and then that takes over in your sources very, very rapidly. That's probably So I don't think the no boom will really help you past 15 at all. Especially not if your end goal is 17, right? And if you think you're only going to have like 1 backup, or you're not planning to get multiple backups, then it wouldn't make much sense. You could save a lot of money on your shoulder, for example, right? If you get into shoulder right up to 15, and then just hold on to 15 shoulder and wait for 5 and 15 maybe, if it's supposed to be right after that or before that. Last time we had no boom room, there was no overlap in duration in like availability of a 30% off or a 5 to 15 and the no boom room. I remember there was a 30% off, and then 2 days after that, the no boom room opened up, and then the day after the no boom room closed, the 5, 10, 15 was. So it's like there was 0 overlap in the 2. So it seemed very intentional. So I don't know, or maybe it was just a pure coincidence, but we'll see how that lines up this time.
Do we know if there's gonna be like another shining that's gonna come between during or before hyper burning?
So definitely not before hyperburning, but in Ignition in Korea they did have another one, and we copied the last one. So in all likelihood, it seems like we'll have one as well. But it's again in like the second part of the update, so it's most likely not going to be until either like very late December or in January. So hyperburning will still be going on. But yeah, that will mostly be if you're trying to like, you know, like tap your CRA past 17, you know, try to tap to 19 or to 21 or stuff like that. Or you've got, you know, somehow got like 4 superior belts and you're trying to see if you can tap one to 21 without having to transfer over, for example. Or slime ring, you know, if you have multiple of those, maybe you don't have to do the whole Kana treasuring and Meister ring, which you'll be very limited on, and then into superior, which you won't be able to afford many backups there, right? Because Galax coins is a very slow process. If you can get Chaos, like slime rings from Chaos, if you get a few of those, and you could get to skip that whole ordeal, that'll be a huge money save. Yeah, so I mostly look at those type of items to tap to 15 during the no boom room, and that's where most of the value is going to be. Maybe get lucky, you know, the hard lucid. If you get to 220, you can get into Lackline, and maybe get a hard lucid box at some point.
Yeah. The question about arcanes so eventually obviously when I hit 335 and then start doing hard lucid and will every week. When I get to a point of, is it ever worth it to buy the droplets for 50 mil in the shop?
It can be. Typically, if you start getting carried that early, you probably will have to buy them if you really want the gear quickly. It'll depend on how quickly you're outgrowing your Abzo, but there is definitely a situation where even if you make a lot of money, where you can keep Abzo and then just start sending on CRA and on, you know, the backups that go into Superior Galax. But you might not want to do the whole thing where you have like, you know, 21 star level 150 level 140 stuff into Superior Galax, because then you might be at 20 and it seems like you want to be at least 21, right? And you might not have the backups to be able to tap 20 to 21, so be stuck on a shitty potential 20 star for a while. So it depends on which project at that point is revealing itself to you in terms of like, here are backups and I can do this. And if there's no event, then there's no pressure. But if there's an event and you're like, well, I don't have any kind of treasure rings, my CRA is already 21. It's either like buying like 80 bill worth of red cubes right now, or just making the arcanes. Then, you know, then it's up to you which one you do, because I think the arcanes are probably going to be a bigger upgrade at that point. And it's even if it's a few bill per piece to make them, but it'll add up. But then once you have them, you know, it'll depend on how lucky you get with boxes and stuff like that as well. Because you can have one lucky box and you can be able to tap all your arcanes from 17 to 19, right? Because you have a universal backup, and that might help you out a lot. That's usually huge gains. But then once everything is 19, you probably don't want to just like start YOLO tapping to 21. That's that's a little scary typically.
You know, I think I can. I know a lot of my friends and other people, they like can't resist tapping off the bend or whatever. But I think I could definitely hold off until only tapping on a bend. And so like, because I've already gotten to the point, like 2 characters where, you know, it's I have like arcane 17 star and everything else is 21%. From that point, what's the general like, and like when events come out, what's the like, let's say, you know, I get to that point and then let's say Shining Starforce comes out, or it's gonna be coming out in like a month. What is the order of item progression when, you know, someone is at that point?
So you're looking at so Shining Starforce gets announced in like a month from now, and your current situation is everything is 17 star and like 2-line legendary.
Yeah. And let's say I have 17 like arcanes also all 17 ars.
Okay, so 17 arcane and everything else is 17, and everything is 2-line legendary.
Yeah.
Well, so in general, so the rule of thumb would be, to me, first rule is whatever is the highest chance of being an upgrade, right? So wherever you have the lowest chance of failing to upgrade, that's the primary rule that's in like the back of my head. So what does that mean? You need backups, right? Because you're going past 17, no safeguarding, you need backups. So you start checking where do you have the most backups, and that's pretty much always going to be CRA at that point, right?
Yeah.
So tap in the CRA is going to be above all the other ones, and then it's just wherever you have the most backups after that. So most likely that is the belts into superior belt, and then you already have some reinforcement, like reinforced earrings could be the thing, or it could be rings, depending on how lucky you get with Meisters, how lucky you get with Kana treasure rings. That's usually when those things come in. And as a dual blade, you know, like the Katara, right? Like that's high up on a list, but that's not you. But it could be shield for you if you have enough recipes from before. Shield could be very high up on the list on getting to 20 as well, because that's pretty easy to mass manufacture. So those are like the main items to look at that point. And then other than that, it'll totally depend on your RNG. So if you have done a lot of Commercy and you have a lot of Dineros, for example, then it is possible for you that getting at least the tattoo, maybe a monocle, whatever you decide to do, you know, with the black bean mark and everything, or if you have a bunch of black bean marks, getting those up to 19, that'll be very close after also getting the CRA to 19. And when all of that stuff is up to 19, it'll be CRA up to 21, and then it'll be really the superior fodder comes in. So like pink bean belts, reinforced earrings, Meister rings, possibly Kana treasure ring. But first I would do a Kana treasure ring and Meister ring as themselves to 21, right? So you can use a 21 damage ring, and then you make another one to transfer maybe into superior, maybe into a thing. But again, that'll depend on if you get lucky on the rings, on the slime rings, and you have like 5 or 6 of those. You could also just try on the ring first and see if one gets lucky, because then it saves you a whole bunch of money if it goes. And then I would definitely really just try to send on a Starforce first and see if that goes. And if it does, then you can work on the potential, and then you can work on maybe looking at for the set bonus and looking at the Twilight Mark. And if you're getting carried, I don't know where your friend's at in the game, but like Twilight Mark is probably going to be relatively fast loot for you then as well, right?
Yes, Twilight Mark, yeah.
So that set bonus will unlock pretty quickly. If you know in the future that you're definitely going to get a lot of slime rings, then you can already commit to a slime ring as soon as you get it. But in general, for most people, they're not in that situation, so I would advise to kind of hold off on really dumping into, you know, going for 2.5 line legendary 17 star on a slime ring, because they have to go to transfer route and then you have to redo the potential. And the ring drops in a little bit in a weird position as well, where yeah, you can equip it and get the set bonus, but you know, some people might want an Oz ring, like you're an Ice Lightning, right? So you're very bursty, so an Oz ring will actually benefit you a lot. So that's another thing.
Yeah, for me, like, I do want to get into Oz, but I feel like my time spent right now, because you know, I'm not at a point where, you know, I'm like 21 star everything, that the amount of effort to do Oz, first I have to learn Oz, and then I actually have to, you know, grind it. But I feel like just me toteming would probably be a better use of my time for the 2 hours.
Yeah, and I think once you get into the 260s and you're looking more at, you know, what kind of project comes next, looking for the backups, and then doing more Oz, and maybe the totems going more towards the Legion and stuff like that, right? Trying to get the Legion to catch up with everything. That'll probably be more what's going to happen, I think.
Yeah, Legion was like the hardest thing for me before, but now it's I'm trying to get like a Legion character every day, like a new Legion character every day to 30, and then every week get at least one or two to 100. And I kind of do it like basically when reset happens, I kind of just, what my friend told me to do is just, the moment I see an MVP, I just hop on that one mule, and then just do like a 30-minute session from like 30 to 60, and then 60 to 100, and then when I hit reaches 100, just, you know, do the Zachem tech every 30 minutes.
Yeah, because you don't have an insane amount of Legion coins available, so you want to make sure you don't consume too many of them on the Legion itself, but you leave them for your main character so you can empower your totems there.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, as you get to the Legion build is all fine. Like, as you get to 3k, you want to definitely move away from the middle of the grid, right, and move more towards the outsides. Definitely get the crit rate and the critical damage up. and that's going to make sure that all of the new characters that you make are significantly strong from the beginning, especially once you get all of the, but you have the level 3 Phantom already, I see. So once you have all the base crit going on and the crit damage, every new character is going to start just hitting like a truck, and they'll level so much faster. And then really once you hit 3k, you'll start feeling that every new character you make is able to be self-sufficient. You know, you don't have to throw hundreds of mil on it to work on a Starforcing or anything, but they could just keep killing way more easily. And then yeah, as you get further, you might get into normal monster damage, but it depends a little bit on, you know, you don't want to spread yourself too thin that early on. Plus you have a bunch of mage pieces, so they'll have like points sticking out, so it's going to be a little bit inefficient to go to all the corners of the Legion grid.
Yeah, I made a lot of mage ones just because I wanted the int.
You want the int, yeah.
Block.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of other stats though that will... Intellect is definitely cool, but I think intellect when it comes to the Legion member bonus is a pretty low priority because of the other value that you can get. So you got your critical rate, critical damage, IED, boss damage, that kind of stuff. That already fills up quite a few characters. You probably want to get like 20 to 25 characters, I think, probably done before you really start looking at trying to maximize on your stat, I would say. Not just because they add more damage to your main character, but also they add way more damage to the other characters that you will be leveling for Legion, so they can come online faster and then level quicker and then get you to the point where you get to 3k, 4k, 5k faster. And then not only will the Legion grid, member bonus, and your link skills, will that all empower your whole account, but you'll also start generating your Legion coins faster because you get to put more characters in the board, etc. And then you'll feel that you just get so much, there's just so much more value being generated passively just by, you know, you log in on a new character and it's already really strong. You can access a whole bunch of content. You can get buffs for it if you want to. And there'll be much less pressure to be like, oh, I have to, you know, rush to an MVP. In the beginning, it's kind of unavoidable and there is good value in that. But then it'll give you more freedom later to just pick when you want to play and what you want to do.
I also heard Night Troop is it a good event to level Legion Mules? I heard there was like some area in Night Troop where you just gain like a lot more EXP or
something. There was I believe that's not Night Troop. There's like an EFK area where you could probably get some EXP just by like doing absolutely nothing, I believe, or it's points. We'll have to see the details of the patch notes. But there was an event, there was not Night Troop, but there was like another event where you had kind of like a hyperbolic time chamber where you could train in there and then you could get a whole lot of EXP. And then last Night Troop, there were like 3 main attractions that you could choose, and one of them was basically kill monsters near your level, and then after X amount of activations, you could get like a bonk, and you can get up to 4 or 5 bonks per day. But the problem was you needed to train quite a long time to be able to get them, and people didn't really have that much time in the day to play. So they would end up just taking the regular training buff. But now they seem to have fused those, so you have one where it's just like you kill monsters near your level, and then when you activate the buff, you get like an explosion in the map. You get a set amount of EXP. Of course, that's going to scale very well on low level and scale very shitty on high level. And then you get an EXP buff for a set duration so that you get more EXP when you're training. So it's really going to be a matter of actually playing the game and actually training on the character and then being empowered by it. Not that you can like AFK and get a bunch of EXP or like slap a whole bunch of potions or something. There are going to be extreme growth potions, so that, you know, you kind of want to plan for that so that you have an idea on which character is going to take these. But I mean, you've got like the Demon Avenger, for example, you know, even all the way up to 210 is a very good link skill. So the Advent up to level 3 is very useful. The Beast Tamer can go all the way up there. So you've got some characters already that will benefit a lot from those.
Yeah, like the links, like that's thing. If bonks only bonks up to 200, I'd still have to, like, you know, wait for an event or actually train it to get to level 210 for the level 3 link, right?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Like for bonking like different mules. Sometimes, like, I guess trying to get it to the level 3 link, I would still have to put in a lot of like resources or wait for those events that can get the character from 200 to 210 to actually hit the level 3 link. Would it be more worth it to bonk maybe a different Legion character specifically to get to 200, I guess, Legion like increase?
Yeah, so you're talking about like grid bonus versus link level bonus, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, some people will do like characters that they. In general, I would just focus on the characters that you don't like, because that's when you will get the most value out of it. Because all the other ones, it'll just be like, well, you know, I could have also trained this, and then you would have just spent the money up front and then rode that train out all the way onto 210. So I would focus on the characters that you don't enjoy and just bonk those up. If you're trying to get pure efficiency out of the potions, it'll be better to spread the potions wide, right? And use it on as many level 141 characters as possible, where the potion gives you the best chance for the most levels, if you're just trying to squeeze out levels. But the downside of extreme growth potioning purely, like you said, is that you can really maroon characters into a super high level where they can kill absolutely nothing because they have gear of a level 120 and or like from a level 100 when they started killing Zakum, and then they're at 200 and they can absolutely hit nothing. And then you'd be relegated to using more of those like the potion selector coupons, right? Like those, if you can get to like 202 through some quests and through a few dailies, and then slam 8 levels to get from 200 to 210. Some people do that. Or you wait until there are those big events. I believe Ignition has those as well, where you can do like past level 200 like 3 times a day, and then you get like or 2 times a day, and you get like a lot of EXP on one character, and they kind of use those to get like a few characters up to like level 204 or 206 or something, and then use those potion selectors to get those last 4 levels, and then you get 2 characters done. There's some options there. But yeah, you're really playing the long game then with the character. Yeah, so if you're trying to get the link skill quickly, it would make more sense to put some funding in and a combination of potions and actually training and grinding and playing during an event. But if you're really trying to get the levels up on the Ice Lightning, it would make more sense to use that time on totems there instead.
Yeah, no, I was before I was using totems on my Legion Mules, but I realized that every time I do that, I lose like 1.8 bill.
Yeah, that's yeah. Yeah, if you start looking in that way, then every single totem value is really high, and you have to basically tell yourself like it's okay to buy that experience with Meso, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know when the next time Vmatrix gonna come out? Because I remember before I quit the first time, like this last 6 months before, I think Vacpet was coming out, and I was gonna buy it, but right before it came out, I decided to quit, so I didn't buy it. Now I kind of regret it. Because I could have had it on my Kana, and I would have made like way better rates with it. Do we know when it's gonna come out again?
It hasn't been announced yet. No. Should be available either in patch notes, or it could also kind of like go in between things. I mean, it would make sense that during really big updates like summer and winter updates, they would at least want to overlap it, because that's when most people are playing, right? So that's when they can sell the most. So it may make sense that during Ignition somewhere at least they would be available. But all last times it was kind of a flash sale where they're only available for 2 weeks. So you really have to keep your eyes on on the game and definitely be there. Otherwise, it's very easy to miss, like you did. Yeah, just keep an eye on Wednesdays is usually when cash up updates come out on the website. So every Wednesday, make sure to double check and see if there's anything mentioning the VAC bets there. But usually if they're there, people are talking about it, and everything is a buzz. So you know that it's going down. So if you're actively playing, then it's hard to miss.
The other question I had about was like the node setup for my Ice Lightning, because right now I think there's like roughly spent maybe like 600 nodes on it right now. Opened, and every totem I get an additional like 50 nodes. So in terms of because I don't really care too much about bossing on it again up until when I'm like 260. Would it be worth it to just I guess my priority for nodes would be to max out like I'm talking about like when I disenchant my nodes and I have the shards, which are like craft shards would probably just first max decent holy symbol, and then afterwards it would just be I guess whatever probably mobbing like skill nodes that I have for the Ice Lightning?
So I think the boost nodes are pretty important. Because like you said, you're going to try to level very quickly, right? So you need your boost nodes to be on point to maintain your kill potential. I think those are going to be important. So that's essentially, what is it, like the Thunder Sphere? Those names, dude. Everything is like light blue and shiny white. It's really tricky to. Let's see, Archmage, Ice Lightning, Chain Lightning. Yeah, so for you it'll be more important to get the Frozen Orb level, I guess, than the Lightning Orb, I guess, right? Thunder Sphere is the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I have right now is I have a Chain Lightning, Thunder Spear, Frozen Orb, and I also have a Chain Lightning, Thunder Spear, Lightning Orb. And I guess I'm just going to keep it on the Frozen Orb one and keep that level 1 Lightning Orb one, and then when it gets to the point where I have like, enough nodes and enough slots to then just like level that one up, and then it'll be fine. I'll have the saved perfect try node there.
Yep. The other thing that I think will be very important is getting your buff duration up and getting your unreliable memory so that you can have access to 2 infinities. Because you will get to the point where it'll be trickier to, stay one-shotting, and there will be some downtime. But you will minimize the downtime by getting the unreliable memory in there. And leveling unreliable memory also gives you a better chance of getting more cooldown reduction on it so that your uptime in general goes up. And the cooldown for unreliable memory itself also goes down when you level it. So that'll also be pretty... When it comes to mobbing, that might be even a more important skill than just flat out increasing the damage on like Ice Age, for example. Because it's, final damage across the whole kit.
So I guess for the Legion board for Ice Lightning, like for bossing, would be buff duration and critical damage, the 2 like outer.
So for boss, so the general priority is you want to get your final damage up, right? So however you do that, buff duration is definitely one, and then IED would be the other one. You want to make sure that those are at the right amount so that you can confirm as much of your damage as possible. Those are going to be the most important ones. And then after that, it's going to be, critical rate if you need it into critical damage, and then anything left over into boss damage, basically.
Yeah, I think critical rate I'll for sure have 100% easily without any help anywhere else. And then I'm hoping, through the thousands of familiars that I'll get like a good IED, like 2 IED
hopefully,
fans, and one boss. Yeah. A question. For my inner ability.
Yeah.
Would it just be okay because right now it's at 19% meso, I think, for the first line, and I guess like for inner ability I'm just basically not gonna touch that until I'm like 275, and then perfect it then, because it really doesn't. I guess the 20...
You're in the same way that you wouldn't really want to upgrade equips if you have no backups past 17, right? You also kind of don't want to mess with your inner ability at this point because you have no honor experience. So the chance that you get anything functional now is so low. It makes more like if every single time you roll you spend like 50k honor, the chance that you'd never get anything after like 1,000 times that you do that is very high. But if you save 5 million one time and then you do that one time, the chance that you get absolutely nothing is basically 0. So you just want to cluster your honor experience into one big attempt, and you probably just want to get to the point where you have at least like a mil honor experience, probably a little bit more, and then work on circulators first to try to hit your 38% buff duration on second or third line. And then once you have that, then you want to lock that and reroll your top line, and then you can kind of see what you want then. You want to get the attack speed, for the min-maxing, because you're okay with the level that you're at, and you're most likely, not going to be making your money as much with this character anymore. Maybe bossing mules are on point by that time. Or you hit Meso Obtain first, and you're like, okay, I'll just hold on to this, and then, maybe roll out of the top line later. But the more important part is going to be to get that buff duration on second or third line. So probably until you have like a mil to mil and a half, I wouldn't even consider doing anything with it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so the way to do it is to circulate for the second line, and then it'll be cheaper when you lock the second line to get your first line.
Yeah, because when you circ, you always get the highest percentage within the variance, And because Ice Lightning relies so much on buff duration, it's just the whole inner ability is basically, until you hit unique buff duration, like max line with a Cirque, there's no need to do anything else past this point where you're at. So that's going to be the most important part.
Then after I get my first and second line, would it just be kind of just like locking first and second and in that third line?
Yeah, you just YOLO for third, and sometimes people hold like, you know, like epic item drop rate or something like that. Just anything that does anything at all for you is cool. Until you get very far in the game, and then you're like, you can decide like, I'm okay with something that just does anything, and then you hold that a while until another 50% off, and then you just YOLO again. But you can basically just send it anytime. Yeah. I do notice here that in your hyperstats though that you skipped the critical damage.
Oh, did I?
Just wanted to point that out because you got enough crit rate, and then but I guess you're at 7 crit rate and you're at 50 here, but maybe that's without link skills, I'm guessing. But then you have the damage and the normal monster damage at 10, but you have nothing in critical damage here, which can and you see how low your critical damage is here at 13%, so that relatively the hyperstat is going to give you an insane amount of value there relative. Especially because the base damage for Ice Lightnings is actually not as horrible as most other characters. So you have like an 80 base, and I believe you build a little bit more with passives as well. So relatively for you, critical damage here will increase your damage, your output damage way more than fitting it all into damage and normal monster damage this early. But if you get used to be on a higher level character, like in the 250s, getting something to 10 or 11 feels very normal to just do that and then look at the next stat. But even so, for Project CRA, for example, when you're at level 210, what that gets you is 8999. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, don't try to not over level too fast when you're still in the leveling process. But if you think like, I'm gonna slam some totems and I'm gonna get like 100 plus, you know, hyperstat points in a day, and I can just catch up to that really quickly, then that's fine. You know, then you don't have to reset it. But keep it in mind.
I see. So yeah, I'll change the damage and I thought that having the damage and normal monster damage would give me more, I guess, you know, overall like final damage than the critical damage points.
Yeah, so it's a little bit deceptive. So to give you like a really quick rundown on how the maths work. So for the percentage damage, that's like one blob. So that takes percentage damage, percentage normal monster damage, and it throws them together. And then that's one final damage multiplier. And then the same thing for critical damage, that's a final damage multiplier as well, but only on critical hits. So if your base critical damage is somewhere between 20 and 50%, so if you hover over critical damage, you'll see that. So the average critical damage you get is around 35%. So so that's 35% final damage basically on a critical hit. And if you add 13%, that means you have right now 49%. So if you get your critical damage to 10, whatever, then you go from 49 to 59. So that 10 is about 1/5 of what you already have. So that's about 20% final damage essentially. And when it comes to damage, you have an invisible base 100% damage. Because even if you have 0% damage in your stat window, you're still going to hit something. And that's because that's like your baseline damage. That's 100%. So essentially your damage now is 180%, plus then the damage to normal monsters that you add to that. So your normal monster damage is 40%, so you're around 220% damage. There's probably some other stuff that gets added, you know, if you have like the arc, you know, or the Ilium, right? If you're moving, you might buff a little bit higher, but you have like around 220. So if you were instead of on 220, you were at like 200 or something, you were like 20% lower. That's only like 1/11 of what you have now, so that's only a 9% final damage loss. But if you would replace that with a whole bunch of critical damage, then that would definitely even out. And that's mostly the case because with hyperstats, once you go past level 8, those levels get very expensive, right? Those last two, they give you 8%, is like 65 points on both of them. You take both of those out to level 8, you get 130 points, you can get the critical damage way up. So you want to find the balance between where do you put your hyperstats, how high do you leave them, versus how much can you fill in your Legion grid, basically, right? Those two want to work together in tandem very much. But once you get to 3K, 4K Legion, and you get way more access to the grid, then you'll be able to balance out much more easily your hyperstats, and you'll be like, oh, I can just put like one extra block in critical rate, that gives me 4%, for example. I'd be like, oh, that can drop me 2 levels on my hyperstats, which will be like 20... It's like 15 and 20 or something. That's like 35 hyper points that you earned there. and then you can start wiggling around a little bit. But it's only once you start like overcapping on stuff, or you know start trying to go past level 10 on the hyperstats that it really the math starts becoming more important, and you're like, oh damn, this is starting to get a little bit pricey. Probably need to move some stuff around.
Yeah. Also in terms of like hyperstats, like you know, I know when I start training my Icelandic, I'm gonna get to a point where I'm going to not have as much arcane force. Is it worth it to put it? Let's say I'm not at the 1.5 multiplier for arcane force. Is it worth it to always, you know, raise my hyperstat up until the point I get that 1.5?
Yeah, because that's a direct final damage. Yeah, so if that gets you into a new echelon, so you have 10, 30, and 50%, right? So if you can get into 10 or 30 or 50% over the requirement of the map with the arcane power, then I would definitely keep that up. And since you said that you're planning to level very quickly and your arcane symbol is probably going to be lagging behind a little bit, it's very likely that your arcane power will be more likely to be at like 10, 11, or 12 or something like that, and that the other ones are staying around the 7, 8 mark instead, so you can get that direct final damage versus over that normal monster damage. Yeah. He's super quiet. I'm looking at OBS. It seems, I don't know. If he keeps his nose against the microphone, we should be fine.
Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to keep it towards my mouth here.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I had some other questions. Think of another question.
Yeah, we're gonna kind of scroll through things. I'll read everything here to see if we took all of this into account. You get this thing. Yeah, we talked about those. So you're okay with doing Commercy, right? People,
yeah,
really
I'm
hate
okay
it.
with it.
Monster Park.
Yeah, because for me,
on that.
I'm doing it right now, especially because I'm not really doing my arcane dailies on the One Ice Lightning because I cannot do 3 Urda like things.
No.
Like for VJ, no, I can't do that. for three times I can't.
For 2
the
symbols
one time
each.
I can.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I think I definitely am gonna try to maybe see would it be worth it right now. Let's say because I think I might be like almost one-shotting in VJ at 2 or 3 when I have all my links and everything, and maybe like all my guild buff, like blue pod, guild pod, everything. Would it be worth it to maybe cube or Starforce something off event just to get myself one shot right now? Let me spend like 2 bill or 3 bill or something like that.
Let me see your equip set. I mean, your WC is where the money shot is in the beginning, right? So your shield is boss crit attack. 999. Yeah, it'd have to be like your weapon potential, right? If you can get like 2-line magic attack there or something. That would probably comparatively, compared to everything else, would probably be worth it. Because other than that, it'd be a matter of rolling at least like 6. I mean, if you get the shoulders, some 7 int there should be pretty free, right? You get some actual int on the tattoo. Like, I would look at just the things you already have tiered up and just capitalizing on the tier up. So try to hit at least 1 or like 1.5 line, like with Master Craftsman cubes on the tattoo, and maybe get the weapon up to legendary and roll something sexy there. But again, if you're gonna roll legendary, then you're committed to that one for the no boom room, right, to get it up to 15, and then maybe the timing might be a little bit weird, and then you might have to wait for another 5, 10, 15 or something. So that might be less than ideal. Yeah, that might be an option. But otherwise, it would be capitalizing on the things you already have, where you know the future for the piece. Probably be okay to do the Dom pendant.
Yeah, like
see if you transpose, it'll like either you get the legendary and then get some good stats, and then either you transpose into Sweetwater if you get a good flame, or you don't. You get in like an okay flame, but not like the best flame, and then it becomes drop or meso gear. So the potential will never be lost on that. just be an easy reroll.
Yeah. Yeah, and speaking about flames, like right now I'm kind of just using all of my like boss flames that I get from bosses and event
so
flames
many.
on my Dom pendant.
Yeah,
and
okay.
Eventually when I get a pat mark on that. But at a point where, like, other than the Dom pendant and the pat mark, if I'm at 17 stars, 21% everything, with arcanes, should I ever spend money on buying flames?
I wouldn't at that point, no. I would, if you got like 21 everything and like 19 arcanes, and like at that point, like the next jumps is like 22 star stuff and 21 arcanes. Like these are several 100 billion jumps. When you're at that point and you want to like min-max on flames, then you have like definitely the green light for me that you can you know, throw a whole bunch of reds at something and just try to pray for some upgrades there. But in general, flames are just like to kind of like finish off the last bits of an item when it's already completely done. And completely done meaning that you know that you're not really going to get past the Starforce where you're at. Like you'll probably have, yeah, like 21 star CRA that's like 2.5 line, 21 star accessories that are probably 3 line, and then 19 star arcanes that are like 2.5 lines, so like 2 line main stat, 1 line all stat, or 3 line stat, something like that. At that point, I would start looking at the flames, basically.
Okay.
Pat marks exist? For some people, they do, yeah.
Yeah, I got a pat mark like maybe on like my 3rd run on my Kana.
Oh, nice. Time. Yeah, my Ice Lightning got on the first clear, so.
Oh damn.
Yeah, lucky. But yeah, many other characters. I think my Adele is at like 1.5 years now of weekly runs,
still no?
and has none. Yeah.
Oh,
you know, 70 something clears, I think. Actually, I can check because I did the CPAP video on the character. I did it on that Adele. Never mind, it's been 2 years. That's August 2020. And this was one of the first clears on the character at 215, and I've been clearing it weekly since before this video, so it's actually been over 2 years, so probably like 120 runs or something. Yeah. Well, one day.
So yeah, or speaking about like you know, the transposed items, I should be like keeping all of my extra Dom pendants for fodder gear, right? For superior.
Yeah. For fodder into superior, and then later for fodder into superior into source, right? So in the same way that you use the kind of treasurings and the meisterings, you're looking at the dominators for like themselves, and then a jump, and then a double jump. But then themselves turns into transposing for dominators, whereas for the rings it turns into actually equipping and using them. Yeah, but you can basically never have too many of those. You'll always find a use for them for sure.
Yeah.
I've already got some backups for CRA. Should already be good to tap it right on there.
Yeah.
Well, because I did see that you had a bunch of did have hats and overalls, right?
Yeah. I have like so many.
Because if you have an epic, you can already just transfer it over, so they're already epic, and you can already get some potential on it. And
I before I quit, I kind of like already started this Ice Lightning, and I basically went to all of the elites, and then the bonus round just grabbed all the epics.
Yeah,
that's there.
If you need extra,
and I have like a bunch of epic rules too.
Yeah, if you need even more, you can always do Julieta. The Julieta bonus gives a bunch of free epic stuff, level 140 and 150. Gives armor, it gives overalls, hats, and shoes. 140 and 150, always epic from the boxes, so easy way of getting epic gear to transfer over.
I also had a question about like bossing mules. So, because right now I have 2 characters that can go up to Guardian Angel Slime, so I make like around 1.4 bill each character each week. In terms of like money spent. Like let's say I get to a point of like that point at that point I said 17 star, 21 everything, and I can also solo up to J Slime. Like how much? Do you know how much meso would be invested to get a character up to that point? Solo like J Slime.
So would you include, so like 17 Abzo, would you include Superior Galax as well? Or would you be okay with Reinforced Galax?
Oh, I think Reinforced, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, that was what I would advise as well, because it's not that much weaker, but it's way easier to build. So highly advise that to everyone who's planning on embarking on that journey. I believe Zelpix was talking about it. Is Zelpix here? I believe he spent for his characters like on the lower end of 20 bill with everything. So like
because the return, because the return on investment would be 20 weeks at that point if you're saying 20 bill, right? Where each week is like 1.5.
I think I'm making on my characters that I run on. I think I make 1.6 if I sell my crystals. I wonder what we are not doing. So you're doing slime, and then
I think I'm not doing Akechi. I think.
Okay, yeah, because Akechi is good money. Let me check real quick, but isn't that like 170 mil or something? Akechi, oh no, that's slime. 144 mil. And the good thing about Akechi is as well is he drop MVPs and actually drop flames because he's a non-KMS boss.
I see.
So we'll definitely put him into the rotation.
Oh, the question. So my buck here, it can solo slime, but the last time I did it, it took me 25 minutes.
Yeah, that's too long. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not worth it, right? Like,
yeah, I don't think. Well, it might be worth it to you, but as you get more characters up into the 210 mark, that can you could just log in, maybe slam some guild skills if you have access to it, and just kill CRA. Then it's not worth it anymore because just all of CRA together, even on a pretty weak character, could be easily done in like 20 minutes, and that'll be 350 mil. So what matters at that point is like, what is your time worth versus how many other characters can you do at the same time? Because like, yeah, normal slime is 170 mil, but I can log into pretty much any of my characters at this point and do CRA and make double that money. So at that point, it's like, that's not worth it. But the reason that the money per crystal scales so poorly is because it's a single crystal that's worth 170, right? So if the character is strong enough and you want to scale up past that point, then it becomes worth it. But at this point, I would say it's probably not worth. Leave that boss for now. Unless you have aspirations in the long term, to make the character like into the 260s and you want to get slime rings. But other than that, I wouldn't. It's kind of a trap where the game tries to get you to do every single boss that you are capable of doing when you know that you're capable of doing it, just to make you scale up on how much time you spend in the week. But if you're really trying to do boss mules and the efficiency for the character is make the money that you can in the time that you have, the weaker the boss that you do, the better the value per time is, typically. And it's really, I would focus on that until you're really like getting close to the crystals. But you need a decent amount of characters rolling, way more than you have now, before you get close to like 180 good crystals in a week. Like I struggle to do that on my account. I would have to, like last month I really started to do a lot of things and started like counting and everything, and I got actually to the 180 with like decent value. But I mean, think about it. Even if you have 6 bossing mules that are fully fledged, it means 30 crystals per character per week. That's a lot of the bosses,
Yeah.
So until you're at that point, it's, whether you're like 16 crystals short or 60 crystals short or 61 crystals short, if that time is spent on like that's a quarter of a totem, right?
Yeah.
That's a whole MVP. That could be, that could like be like 100 Legion levels if you do like a bunch of Sakum runs. As a matter of speed, yeah.
Yeah, because like for me, especially since I'm like starting my ice lightning from scratch, I just wanted to like see when, because obviously I want to put all my resources towards the ice lightning. It's like at a 0 point right now, but because I also have a Dawn Warrior that's 233 and. I was planning to make that into like I think it can clear 3 doors right now. But kind of slow.
Okay.
And I guess when Ignition comes out, when the buffs come out for Sickness Knights, I might, put in some money on events towards that, so it can maybe clear up to, C-Val and everything easier.
Yeah, and then once C-Val is done, you should very quickly be able to move into like H-Mag as well. And then, but like guild skills are going to be a big factor here. So I don't know if your guild is working or has like a side guild for like boss mules that everyone can just throw characters that they want to do weekly bosses in. So you do like, a flag and a culvert whenever you can, but to at least get some guild skills there. Is that available to you or no?
So on my Kana, I'm in a guild, and then on my Buck, I'm in a guild. Both, which I'm using guild skills. But for my Dawn Warrior, no, I'd have to find a random guild and see if I can just join that guild for the guild skills there.
Yeah, I don't know if there are like any bossing mule. If you can just search all and then just look for. Can I just see all the lists? Please enter the name of the guild or guild leader. Can't you just see all the guilds that are available? What is this game, dude? Here, an F. Search all the ones with an F. Oh. Feh. There you go. Thank you. I feel like there's gotta be like some Smega sometimes or Reddit threads sometimes where people are like join for boss mules. Because, I mean, if you're going to go on there, you have all your links on there, you might as well just run a culvert, and you, very quickly, if you have a few people doing flag, very quickly you get like 15 to 30 skill points. And that's just going to, like, grow your legion and getting access to guild skills. That is so much money. Like, that can really turn you from, like, having to pay 20 bill to having to pay, like, only, like, 12 to 15 bill. Because that extra money that you're spending, that most expensive extra upgrade that you need to get to that level of power that you want to get to, which means like getting some stuff to legendary instead of just staying on unique, like all of that can be easily compensated by legion grid, member bonus, higher level link skills, and access to guild skills. Like that if that portion gets taken up by that instead, you save so much money per character to get it started up, and it can start generating income so much faster, and then that money can go into the next boss mule and you can start snowballing so much faster.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Ward is a mule guild? Okay, wait, so if I look for Ward, let's see. Search Ward. Mules, welcome to join. Oh, here you go. 195 members. Average level 216. Let's see. Oh, he's got a few 260s in there. Yeah, I imagine they've got some low-level characters that are just there to level, and then they kick them out again after, something like that. Yeah, what we did for my guild is we made a secondary guild just for the mules, so that if people have secondaries they want to train, so they can have access to the passives, or back in the day when people had kind of farmers, but those are gone now. Or if they have boss mules, then they just throw them in there. And then there's a whole bunch of activity and people that are still in there, and they're also still in the alliance, so if they want to exchange something, they're not too disconnected from the guild completely.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you've got like a lot of moving pieces at once, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's more concrete now? Like they're like on the train tracks again, and they're not just like driving off, and you're doing like the Jean-Claude Van Damme splits, trying to keep the wagons together, kind of thing.
Yeah, no. Like I think one of the things I'm definitely gonna start doing now is I'm gonna try to get my Icelandic to maybe 210, 220, 215, just so I can start doing like the Chichu and stuff. And actually maybe if it can get to 220, then I can start doing that hard lucid and maybe get a drop early on, and then hopefully get a weapon.
That'll get your path more clear as well. It'll take a few of the unknowns off the map, and it'll give you clearer direction once you start getting those kind of drops.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't even gone into Abzo yet, or you're like thinking about like making the Abzo because you see the event coming, but then you get a drop, it's like, okay, well that one piece I don't have to worry about Abzo at all. I can just buy the arcane armor and then just work on the arcane armor and then just forgo Abzo in that slot.
Yeah. No, and for like I guess during like the event for Starforce or whatever, I'm gonna first try to upgrade the non-Absol pieces, like the accessories, the CRA first, and then like see if I can maybe start one-shotting at that point at where I am, and then like do the Absols like kind of last, just in case. I don't want to like pour too much money into the Absol and then like 2-3 weeks later I got an Archmage job.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. Yeah. Yeah, maybe you get some stray flames on the Abzo or something. That'll already be good value too, because 160 flame advantage, that can be a lot of free value right there. And then just someone in the chat is saying just get to 245 or something, and then pick another class to hyper burn because you'll already be done.
Oh yeah. So see, like, the other question about the hyper burn. So I know that I saw on Reddit like the rewards you get. So for hyper burn, you get like a straight level 5 arcane symbol. Yep. If I'm burning, let's say by the time hyper burn comes out and I'm already 235, let's say, and I start to hyper burn my ice lightning from 235, do I get the equivalent symbols that would have getting to those regions on my ice lightning, or do I just completely lose out on that kind of like level 5 symbol?
Yeah, like I can't tell you with 100% certainty, but how I imagine it works is that it just checks if you've gotten to the area you have, then you get the reward kind of thing, and then you just have a level 5 instead of a level 1, and then you just throw them together. And then the EXP gets like soaked up basically until you hit max, so it can't make you over level basically. In the past it was able to. I had I think I had a level 20 choo-choo symbol that was like 118%, so it was already on its way to 21. But they got rid of all of that, and I believe they got rid of the level 25 that was somewhere in the code. But that's how I imagine it, because some people did have the worry about like, well, at 1, like, do you even get the reward like you said, and then at level 2, do you have to choose which one you equip and then get rid of the older one, in the similar way that if you have like the you got like the essence item, right, in non-reboot, where you can turn them into transferable equips, and then you lose a certain percentage of it, but you can give it to another character, like what Sacrix does to get his characters going immediately, right? Because some people were also worried that it might work like that. I can't tell you with 100% certainty. Maybe if someone from MapleC is here, or someone from KMS knows exactly how that worked. Sorry, not MapleC. That's in reference to the Night Troop stuff. But someone from KMS can confirm. But I assume that it's just one on the side, and you could just squeeze them together, and you're good to go.
Okay.
Yeah, it would suck if you just lose a level 5 on an existing character. That would be really unfair to people who have already made progress, because those are mostly, because I'm thinking those are mostly the people these things are made for, right? The hyperburn, those are made for people who kind of get stuck around like 225 to 230. They kind of get stuck there, but they do want to make a 250 at some point, and then this event allows them to get an extra boost and get all the way there. But it would suck if be like, oh, but it comes at the price of throwing away whatever symbol you already have. So either like, you throw away your level 12, which would be stupid, or you just don't get any value out of it. That would feel really bad, but that's me applying logic to a MapleStory event, so that might be a little bit scary. That's always that could be spooky, so I'll say it tentatively like that.
And also, like, with Hyperburn, there's probably be way more people, like a lot of people coming back from, a hiatus or new players and everything. Do you think, like, when it comes to 200 to 250 and all the arcane maps, do you think we're gonna see, like, it's gonna be hard for me to find a map to even train?
That's possible. I believe in Ignition though they redid a lot of the maps as well with like better layouts, so I hope that the maps will just be more competitive, that you'll have a lot of more maps that are kind of close. The maps that everybody knows just by name, by abbreviation, those will be full as hell, like probably the whole time. Although the winter peak is never as high as the summer peak though, so that's also something to remember. But depending on what times you're training, it might be the case that, because some guilds, will just have certain channels of maps just on lockdown with like sign-up sheets and everything, like how it works. And then if you exactly, like those maps, and if you're not connected, you just like fat chance that you get in. Yeah, I have the access to my chat, of course, like to a bunch of people, and I can ask, and then if every person there asks one other person, then you have like a whole wave of people that is checking. Sometimes if I have like the free megaphones in the cash shop, I try to use those. Is anyone leaving soon?
Oh yeah.
That helps more often than you might think. Yeah, it might be CCing, just asking people, are you leaving soon? Are you leaving soon? Might be a little bit annoying, but if someone doesn't answer, then you just move on. If someone says like, I just got here, yeah. Try to like schedule it for yourself, right? Because if someone says like, oh, I'm only doing one totem, I'm going to be done in like an hour and 50 minutes. You could think as well like, oh, okay, I've killed some bosses. I have some private MVPs that you can use, right? So you're not reliant on finding a train, for example. You could be like, okay, an hour and 50 minutes, I could do some dailies before then, I can get all my other stuff done. And then just an hour and 50 minutes, I'll come back and then do it, for example. Kind of try to stay flexible. And as you have a lot to do in this game, you're never going to run out of stuff to do. So there's always going to be something you can kill time with.
On the topic of running out of things to do, like what can I do? Let's say at a point where I have no more totems. So I probably, and I don't think I'll ever train or farm off totem. And let's say I run out of 2x coupons. Like the other thing I'm doing is like leveling up my mules. What could I do that's like not too inefficient when I run out of totems, Legion coins, and 2x coupons?
Yeah. It'll be a combination of working on Legion, just like Zakum runs and stuff like that, right? Those easy levels, or creating new characters if you're not at 42 yet. Depending on how far in the game you are, this is also where Oz could come in. We don't necessarily need totems for that, and it is something that you can definitely, eventually you'll want to do it, especially if you're a burst class. And it'll be something that can soak up as much time as you want. Like, you can do a lot of floors and spend a lot of time on that. So if you don't have any totems left, it's going at, the opportunity cost there for Oz is very low, and the relative gain there is very high. So you could consider stuff like Oz and things like that. So Legion and Oz would be like the main things that come to mind for me.
I think Oz would be perfect there.
If I have a good excuse, like, well, I can't do anything else. Might as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Or do like some crazy project for YouTube or something. I don't know what your aspirations are.
Yeah.
Become a junior for the Ice Lightning Archmage Discord and try to clean up the Discord or something. I don't know. Some.
No. Like, I wanted to on my off time develop because for example, like whenever I start a new class or think about a new class right now, I always want to think about and know what are the best maps and what are the best rotations and what are the meso rates and everything. But it's that content is so, I feel like it's not really too easily accessible to the general public of the Maple community. And I know all the Discord channels, class Discord channels have that information, but even then, when you're in the Discord, depending on how organized the Discord channel is, it's hard to get that information. I was thinking of because on my off time, I'm working from 9 to 5, and it'd be cool to have a website. Do you think it'd be cool to have a website that kind of has all of that information there?
Yeah, with every update, you'll get changes. I try to work with a system of voluntary contribution, where people basically leave numbers. So I have BAs, so I can use that to kind of track where's the burst of classes, and I've got the monster skill per hour, so people leave their map and then their class on totems, of course, and then how many monsters they kill per hour. So you can kind of keep track of which maps are even worth considering, kind of thing. And of course, some maps, like for VC3, you see we have numbers for almost all the classes. Well, there's a good reason for that, right? It's because it's a really good map. So you can already see what are the popular maps. You see 1.4, 1.5. You see a lot of numbers here. You see ECR2. I can't even fucking tell you which map that what that abbreviation is for. So, but yeah, there are so many maps and so many classes, so it's just so much data that has to be gathered. Plus, just because there's a number in a grid, that doesn't mean that therefore it's done. Just because there's one number there, that could be an outlier on the low end. It could be an outlier on the higher end. So if you can find some kind of tool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've already apparently by just trying to be helpful made too many enemies, and a lot of the discords won't even let me have in them to even like peek at the facts or the FAQ. So I can't even get those numbers if I wanted to. I'd have to make like side characters. And I mean, I don't care enough to really start doing all of that stuff, or like side accounts to try to get fuck all that. So I'm trying to just find my way around that. But yeah, if you can fly under the radar and do all that, but the best thing would be to just kind of like contact admins to see if you want to do that, because then if they find out afterwards, they might not like it and then boot you, and then you can't update your shit, and then you get a bad rep. But if you ask early on and they don't like it and then they block you from doing it, then you're fucked too. So
really that serious?
Yeah, some people take it very, very seriously. They want to gather the info to be able to give to people, but they also want all of the glory of being able to be the ones who get to give it, right? It's not enough to just like give them full credit on whatever you're doing. You have to like see it there so it's directly connected to them. Otherwise, they'll feel like you're stealing it or using it for your own personal gain or whatever. Yeah, people take things very seriously. And so 5:30 EDT, 2:30 EDT. It's in about 50 minutes. So I'll have to make sure I can get ready for all of that soon. Yeah, we're at we have a few more minutes, but I'm gonna scroll through everything, see if there's anything we forgot. Was that a satisfactory answer though on like what to do, right? Because like
yeah.
And there's probably gonna be some minor things. Like one of the things that I do is like look at my storage and see what kind of a fucking mess it is, and then like try to clean that up a little bit. And as you get more cubes and more flames as your bossing mules start rolling, you'll always have some active projects that you're working on. You'll have to like figure out like, okay, in case an event comes, who am I going to be bonking? Who am I going to be training? Who is going to be wait for like a burn or a terror burn? Always keep that up to date. Like who's next for Monster Parker metal, for example? Like who am I going to get the boxes on next? Which equips am I upgrading? Where are my cubes going? Where are my flames going? Just always keep up to date with that. And there'll be those, all of that will add up to nice things. And you can also, if you're doing bossing mules, I'll always have like one character that I'm kind of doing the dailies on until you get to a certain point. The rule of thumb I have now is I'll just do dailies until a week of dailies doesn't give me a level anymore. So I'll just look at how many per day, then do times 7. If that's enough to get a level, then I'll keep doing the dailies. If it's not enough, then I'll move on to the next character, basically. So that you can get that quote-unquote free funding just from playing X amount of days. And again, that'll chip away a little bit as well at how much money you need to invest into a bossing mule before it really starts coming online.
Yeah.
But yeah, your links will start growing, Legion will get a lot bigger, so you'll probably be Tetrising a lot with the grid as well as you get further into that. Optimizing with normal monster damage, redoing hyper skills when you get a lot of points, hyper stats, I mean, sorry. There'll be a lot of little moving parts, so always something to do.
Do you know, like, would it still be worth it to hyper burn my ice lightning if, let's say, I end up getting it to 235 before hyper burning comes out?
Yeah, you're really looking at, if you do hyper burn at 235, you have 5 level ups, right?
Yeah.
So I would say look at you look at your schedule, look at your calendar, and see how much time you're going to have available to play. If you're going to be rather limited on time, it might be better to just make sure that you can confirm those levels. But if you think you're going to have plenty of time and you can easily get your Ice Lightning into like the early 240s and get another character all the way up to 250, then obviously that'll be more value for your account in the long term. And then you can very easily get a boss mule ready that'll be able to do like, like easy lucid slime and everything below, and you won't have like those 25-minute slime runs,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I have a really clear roadmap now to being the most efficient when it comes to when Hyperburn comes.
Okay, I'm glad. Yeah, we got it neatly done within the time frame, so I want to thank you for that as well, for getting all of your questions out and keeping me on track as well, because sometimes we get to straying a little bit. But yeah, I hope it all goes well. And yeah, hopefully the patch notes will confirm when the 5, 10, 15, 30% off and all that is, so you can start planning more concretely. And yeah, I will say if you get to 220, you get some boxes. That'll get you access to getting on the symbols faster, and then hopefully if you get a box or so, that will clear up a whole lot of things and take a whole lot of maybes right now just completely off the table, so you can focus way more directly on where you're going. So yeah, I hope that works out. Yeah.
Hopefully the patch notes are probably going to come out like
Tuesday. Should be like late on Tuesday probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Yep. You're very welcome. And good luck, and I'll see you around.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Cool. Hopefully it was helpful for you guys, and you guys had some. Hopefully there's always one or two things, you know, that kind of was rearranged and was clarified, or that was something you completely didn't know or hadn't even thought about that popped up, hopefully. If you need any of the commands that we're going through, we didn't really use them that much, but as always, if you need any of these, you can always use the chat commands in the Twitch chat at any given time when I'm online, offline, whatever. They will always work. You just put an exclamation mark and whatever you're looking for information on, and boom, the robot will give you your answer. If you want one of these sessions, check the description of the video. And today is the last day of September. So again, reminder to buy out your reward shop, and also reminder to leave a comment on this YouTube video if you would like to win a free session with me like this. I pick 2 winners at the end of every month. So I'm going to be really busy this weekend, but probably early next week, I'll draw the winners for September. And I'll go through all of the September videos for the progression sessions and see who gets to win. So 2 people win from there, and you can also get one of these sessions through direct donation. Information's in the video, or by using the channel points if you're a subscriber on my Twitch channel. So check out the stream, twitch.tv/Scardor. I stream there every day. Probably not this Sunday though. It's going to be a busy day. And I'm going to be liberating tomorrow, so make sure you tune in if you don't want to miss that. It'll be around 5 p.m. CEST, which is around 11 a.m. EDT, which is around 8 a.m. Jesus, that's early. PDT. But it's a Saturday, so you guys can be up, okay? That'll be the Black Mage run, and then right after that, Liberation and upgrading of the weapon, and hopefully we get a juicy weapon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.